All right, so I started this video literally days ago, and then I had a problem with my cell phone. My kids downloaded too much games on it, had no space. So I talked for like 20 minutes, and 3 of those minutes were recorded. So forgive me if I use a little bit of brevity as we go through this, but I want to talk about a few questions that popped up recently for DS special agents or aspiring DS special agents. Number one is pets. Is Are pets allowed? Number two is, excuse me, let me just move it right here while I look away a little bit. Houses and home security. Are they safe when you live outside the campus or the compound? And then what? Oh, and kind of a fun one. A guy asked was kind of hypothetical. What happens if two principals get in a fight when you're protecting them? So I'll talk about all three. So pets, pets are allowed. I don't know if there's a restriction on types of pets. State Department is pretty good about um, you know being lenient on these types of things. That said, it's not always up to the State Department. So you can bring your dog, you can bring your cat, you might have to bring your pet tortoise or iguana or whatever. I don't know about those, but cats and dogs definitely. But it's not always up to the State Department. Each country has their own regulations and requirements, and so some countries limit what types of breed you might be able to bring in. Let's just use the example of dogs. Several countries won't allow certain types of dogs. They might have to have certain vaccinations. Of course, you got to ship them there. A lot of times they'll have to be quarantined. I know some countries quarantine 30 days, 60 days, and then you as the owner have to consider, do you want your pet to have to be quarantined for 60 days without seeing them? So in general, yes, pets are allowed. Now they're not allowed at every post. If you go to Iraq, Afghanistan, Pakistan, the location that's supporting Yemen off the Saudi Arabian border, Syria, right now you're not gonna get your pets to those. There's probably a significant amount of others, but general, what I call traditional posts where there's not a really high terrorist threat. Let's say Latin America, for example, or Western Europe. Yeah, you can usually bring your pets. But there are restrictions, there are limitations, and so that's something that you can look at. By the way, there'll be there's information when you bid on assignments. There'll be information out there that you can look at and see what type of pet restrictions maybe the U.S. State Department has. I don't think it's usually that much, but what the host country has, and so that's something that you can check into. Um, Houses and home security. So let me answer this backwards. DS agents, for those of you who want to be DS agents, there's a residential security program that you'll manage. And so you'll take part in either conducting home security assessments for diplomats that will live in those homes, or you'll manage someone that does that. Some of these bigger assignments have like a residential security coordinator or something like that that really manages that. When you get to post, most homes are already designated. They've been identified. They've been identified for years, and the assessment has been done. You might have to update them or something, but it's not a huge deal. It's not a massive program that you spend a lot of money. I mean, it's a lot of time on, but diplomatic security special agents are responsible for the safety and security of our personnel. That includes when they're at their home in a foreign country. And the types of homes vary. I lived in Vietnam. I lived in a high rise right next to the consulate. And sure, the regional security officers and the general services office, communicated to the landlord. We had several U.S. diplomats in that space, and they know the landlord. We knew the security. We checked the security, and we could make recommendations. A lot of times, if the U.S. government makes recommendations, so that you can guarantee them money, because we always pay. I guess we can get into politics, but we always pay. Our foreign counterparts when we're in these living situations, and they expect that, so they'll make a lot of adjustments for us. But you can come up from everything where you might live on the campus or on the compound. In Russia, for example, Moscow, a lot of folks live on compound. Some live off, but a lot of Baghdad, everyone lives on the compound. Vietnam, no one lives on the compound. And then you have these places where there are secure secure residential areas. So they'll have a big wall and a fence, and they'll have a security guard that allows people in. It's not all. It's not just U.S. government. They'll have Brits, and they'll have Aussies, and they'll have folks from India and Singapore. You name it, everywhere. Sometimes they're diplomats, sometimes they're expats. They might be working in the oil industry, might be working in a different industry. So, but they do have secure compounds out there that the State Department pays these folks in these houses, these locations to house our own folks. So security is going to be good. We have our requirements. State Department Diplomatic Security has the requirements to meet. And if the housing board and the RSO, the regional security officer, is a member of the housing board, if the housing board doesn't come across the spectrum all agree to a new house that's coming in the housing pool for whatever reason, then it's not going to get approved. Now they can go back and forth, they can debate. RSO can say no unless you convince the landlord to install a card reader on the elevator, and then they need to put some bars on the windows with the ability to escape if there's a fire, something like that, right? And these types of things. Not the most exciting program, by the way, but it's important because home break-ins do happen, particularly in some of these high crime countries, and there are plenty of them out there, believe me. So, but yeah, in general, yeah, you live in different types of housing, you're safe, and the DS agents they're also known as the regional security officers. They look out for you. So something just a little bit of information on that. So I had a question. I forget what I posted. This was a while back, and someone asked if it would, what happens if two principals got in a fight, right? So two protectees, and there's a lot of variables there, right? I don't think that would happen, at least in the U.S. on our watch. But if they are in the U.S., for example, say you have the foreign minister of Russia, Sergei Lavrov, and you have the foreign minister of, I don't know, Ukraine. Let's just say Ukraine right now, and they get in, like they communicate. They're the United Nations, and they're communicating. They get in a fight. Very unlikely, by the way, but generally, I suspect that 9 times out of 10 or more, the agents in charge, because there's U.S. government agents responsible for the safety and security of foreign dignitaries at that level. So that would be DS agents, Sergei Lavrov and the foreign minister of Ukraine. They would not allow it. So maybe they had a blow or two, right? Boom, boom. But the agents in charge would pull them off each other, and they would go their separate ways. They would break it up. I can't speak for how it goes in other countries. I don't know if a protectee hits another protectee or whatever, how it goes. So I think it's a very unlikely scenario. What's more of a likely scenario, and because it has happened, is two protection details fighting with each other. And that's happened. That happened. If you haven't heard my podcast with Steve Silva, Off the X podcast, check it out. He talks about at the United Nations when there was a brawl between two different, there was the Turkish detail. There was literally fisticuffs coming to blows with I think it was Mahmoud Abbas or Yasser Arafat, I forget, but the Palestinian foreign minister as detail, and there were Americans there, right? But a lot of times, so back up a little bit on the protection details, right? You'll have a DS diplomatic security special agent in charge and a protection detail, and the size of the detail, it depends on the country that we're protecting, right? And the threat level and a number of other different variables. Well, when you go into United Nations inside, usually it's just the agent in charge that's allowed. So one DS agent will go in. Oftentimes, somehow, their local security agents will go with them. And by local, I mean, let's say in this case, the Turks. So they'll have the Turkish detail will go in with them. And so when I say that diplomatic security protects foreign ministers when they come to U.S. soil, we do. Oftentimes we have the whole detail. They might have one or two security folks from their side. Sometimes they'll have a full security team, and you got to work together. And so that's just something to consider when you're working with them. But my point is, in this case, more people than more people from the local security details from the Palestinian detail and the Turkish detail were in the United Nations, and they got in a fight, in a brawl, and it like ended up going down to the street level where we enter and exit inside a tent. If you've ever watched United Nations or been there during that time frame, so crazy stuff happens on protection details. I have a bunch of stories that I'm going to tell here, and I have well, I'll tell you here in a minute where I'm going to tell them. But a lot happens on protection details, and it's a pretty good time. And so keep your guard up. Anyway, all right. So I hope that helped. I'm a little off on making videos. You can see I'm kind of stumbling over things, but I think I got the information out there for you. So. Couple new things going on. One, I'm trying to commit to podcasts every month. I know I fell off last year, 2021, towards the end. But I think I had some very high expectations for myself, and I couldn't commit. I have a young kid and everything, and I do this for fun, right? For enjoyment. The Becoming a DSS Agent Facebook group is growing. If you're interested in becoming a DSS agent, go to Facebook, log in, fill out, find Becoming a DSS Agent, fill out the questions to get in. If you don't have a Facebook account and you want to get, because it's a ton of information. So what that group is active DS special agents, veteran, retired or former DS special agents with candidates, or just people that are interested. And there's a lot of questions that cut through the clutter and all the BS you find on these 911 forms or other forms. So join, fill out, again, the information. If you don't have a Facebook account, go make one, throw a picture up of yourself, but fill out the questions. And if you fill out the questions accordingly, even if you don't have a picture of yourself and you have one follower or whatever, I'll approve you just because I need to know. I know who you are. Or you can ping me on another medium and say, Cody, I'm going to create this Facebook account so I can get in. And believe me, there's some valuable information. If you want to be a DS special agent, you need to join that group. There's a lot of information there. It's the only one of its kind. It's free, so just check it out. If you're watching me on YouTube, which I suspect you are, I have this YouTube channel. So if this is the first video you see, go back and check out 20 plus others to learn about life as a DS special agent. I have an Instagram account, _Inc, where I talk about anything from global security, personal safety, personal security, and diplomatic security agents, right? So those are kind of three things I talk about and I enjoy brief about. I do some scenario type questions sometimes, in which if you're gonna go take the test for DS, it's helpful. If you don't know security, I put a scenario out there and say, hey, DM me what you think would be right, and we can spitball and go back and forth. But otherwise, I just I do it, because I enjoy it. All of this costs money to have a podcast, to I have Zoom calls with folks on occasion. I have obviously a domain name. All this costs money, and so I do other things. I wrote a book. This is where it all started, called Agents Unknown: True Stories of Life as a Diplomatic Security Service Special Agent, or something like that. True Stories of Life in the Diplomatic Security Service. Yeah, something like that. I don't know. I wrote the book 3 years ago. It's a good book. Apparently, got 171 reviews online, sitting at 4.8. And I have an audio version on Audible on like the iBooks, whatever it's called. It's also on Kindle. It's also on Amazon. It's also on my website, codyperron.com. Go check it out. I do a few other things. Again, I'm not an apparel company, but I do have some shirts. You can check them out on codyperron.com. I have some hoodies. They're coming out soon. The high threat protection, getting off the X hoodie is really popular. Have some hats, right, off the X. This is a contractor casual, so it's a little more bendable. And then I have this new design that is not out yet. This is a prototype. It's a little crooked. So all these right here are all prototypes. By that I mean they haven't nailed exactly with the patch and everything, but this is a high threat protection. Can you see that? Off the X ink. And I'll have that in black as well. So I got a few things. Yeah, and so when people often say, hey man, appreciate all you're doing, how can I support? I think it's cheesy to just give a Venmo account and say drop me some money. So go buy a product, a little more work on my end, but do that. But you can write reviews. You can you can go to the website and buy a book or buy a product, or you can just be engaged. I will say this, that in order to motivate me a little more, And to keep this going, because it does cost, I had a $330 domain name bill the other day. I got it for like $11.99 in 2020, and then they shipped me up for $330. So it happens. I'm starting a Patreon account. And so there will be different levels. And so like level 1, for example, you can give $5 a month or whatever, and you'll get some added benefits. I'm gonna keep doing what I'm doing here. I'm gonna keep doing my YouTube videos, keep monitoring the becoming a Facebook agent page, keep doing the podcast, and those are gonna be free. But I'm gonna do some extra stuff. And then there's different levels. All the way up to the level if you want to just learn about the global security field and how to be, how to make decisions under pressure, or how to make decisions in certain locations when you're a DS special agent overseas. Because a lot of people worry about this when they take the test, when they take the in-person test. And I don't have all the answers, but I think I have some pretty good answers. And so the ability to spitball, go back and forth, talk about the agency, talk about different things, and just teach you kind of how to be a security professional and what we deal with. I'm going to have different levels again from everything on Patreon. So that'll be coming out pretty soon. And yeah, that's one way you can give it. If you just want to give, then you could do that as well and not take advantage of the other things. I think we're going to also do happy hours, virtual happy hours. I'm going to have some guest speakers come on. I'm going to do, I'm doing everyone, no matter what level you're on, whether it's the $5 a month level or beyond. I'm going to do Agents Unknown, the Untold Stories, and I'll do them like I talk, which I was told I can tell a good story. Maybe not, when you watch these videos, you might not think so, but I get pretty animated in these, and I've already recorded several, and so those will only be for members to check out. So anyway, I will release that pretty soon on Patreon, and you can check it out. And otherwise, you can find me on social media, on Instagram, like I said, _Inc. Hit me up on this video on YouTube. If you need some information, info@codyperron.com. Also, you can hit me up there, and I'll respond to you. I am getting a bit inundated with people requesting information, and I try to prioritize those that are about to go into a testing phase or the BEX panel. If you're just exploring now, I would ask you to go watch all the videos, join the DSS agent group. And it's not to put you off. It's because I do get a lot of inquiries, about this and hey, can we talk and can we do this? And so the Patreon will actually give people an opportunity to sign up, and chat and do a few different things. So anyway, I've ran my mouth for a good 18 minutes now. So as always, I appreciate everyone. I hope you're all doing well. And hit me up and let me know how I can help. All right, thanks y'all. Out.